let's shift into a real estate market update. I'd like to do after the COVID thing. We talk about COVID. Give us kind of what you've been seeing and feeling, kind of boots on the ground, real world experiences. What's been happening. Scott had a couple of really good stories at our last show. Dylan, what's been going on? What have you been sensing the past couple of weeks or so since you got back with the real estate market?
Yeah, so I just put out our my monthly market update yesterday, and the big takeaway from it was definitely there's no drop off, and pretty much there's been a almost complete recovery back to the pre-COVID numbers. So across the island, on the Big Island, we're 1% down in terms of the number of homes that sold in the month of July versus July a year ago. So pretty much exactly the same. In the Kona market, still a little bit down, like 16%, but climbing right back up to normally about 40 to 50 homes sell in the Kona market every month. And so we're back to that level at 41. And the actual median price was up. So the median price continues to climb. So anybody waiting for a big drop off or a market crash and a great deal in the near future, the market is not showing that. And we're still feeling that on the ground with just demand. I was just contacted about a home yesterday that somebody wanted to get a virtual tour of. And when I called the listing agent, they said they had 3 offers in hand and 2 more on the way. And this just came on the market like a day ago. So homes that are priced well, that are desirable, are still selling almost immediately. And we're seeing continuing to see those sight unseen buyers continuing to buy. So people have faith, or they just want to get out of wherever they're at and come here. So they're willing to take a chance, buy a house, and they can come out here and quarantine in it once it closes. So
there you go. Buy the house and make it your quarantine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. Heidi, what's your sense? I know you're even though you're cooped up in quarantine, what's been your sense of what's going on with the real estate market in Maui?
Oh, well, I've still been very busy working, even though I have been at home. Overall, Maui prices are still very stable and strong. In looking at our latest real estate stats, the number of sales and properties under contract this year compared to what was going on last year in 2019 is down. But I think that's very understandable considering travel and tourism has been shut down now for about 5 months. There's plenty of demand for Maui properties, though, and I think it's very possible we could be entering into a very, very busy market once it becomes safe to travel and the quarantine is lifted. Now, I hear enrollment at some of our private schools is up because we're seeing families that are relocating to Maui so their kids can go to school here. So that's kind of interesting as well. Yeah, it's been an interesting year for sure, but things are still moving.
Thank you, Heidi. There was a couple of questions here that I think are relevant to the real estate update. A buyer or seller's market sounds to me like it's a seller's market from what I'm hearing you say here. But why don't you there are 2 questions here. Is it a buyer or seller's market, and are the short-term rentals, are they being put up for sale? That's a relevant question. How do you respond to that, Heidi?
Yeah, that's a great question. So in the single family home market, it still is more of a seller's market. A balanced market is generally considered about 6 months of inventory. For single family homes, we have about 4.8 months of inventory. Condominiums on Maui, however, are tipping towards more of a buyer's market with about 6.4 months of inventory currently. The number of properties going under contract has decreased some, which I mentioned earlier, and sales activity has slowed. The most challenged part of the market right now is the short-term rental market, but they're still selling. I have a property that's closing next week that's a vacation rental. The buyers were doing a 1031 exchange. They sold a commercial property on the mainland. They're buying an oceanfront condo. There's definitely things still selling, but I would say for a buyer that's been kind of waiting on the sidelines and wanting to get into a good property, if they're coming in the Maui market now, they're going to have more options and probably a little bit more negotiating leverage than they would have experienced if they were making an offer on something last year. So it's a pretty cool opportunity for buyers right now. I mean, really the whole challenge again is just people being able to get out to Maui to actually see the properties. So we're really investing a lot in video and 3D tours and virtual tours, and doing as much as we can to market our listings here.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Really quick here. Teresa says, why is Heidi having to quarantine? Did you come into contact with someone who tested positive? No, Teresa, Heidi just came in from the mainland. She went to the mainland. She went to visit her family on the mainland and then came back. And when you come back to Maui, whether you're a longtime resident or not, you have to go under quarantine. There's the quick answer on that one. Hey, Scott, so how are you doing over there? And actually, I want to tell you here really quick. Somebody said, "Oh, yeah, Teresa, that she's you've got a fan over here." So Teresa's in 100% agreement with what you're saying. Maybe try speaking a little bit slower. That might help. But tell us what's been what's the boots on the ground of kind of what's been going on Oahu's real estate over the past few weeks.
Yeah, I changed to. So does that sound better? Can you hear me?
The sound is good. It just gets broken up because of I think the net connection kind of cracks you up a little bit, but give it a shot.
Okay. Yeah, it actually really interesting. It's definitely a seller's market on the family homes. And just like the island, our number of sales have now caught back up to where we were same time last year pre-COVID. So there's plenty of buyers in the market. We're limited in inventory. So it's a very busy market. And to give you an example, I wrote a couple of offers this week, one on Wailaiki, where it was listed at 1.6 million. The home it was cleaned up, but hadn't been renovated probably 20, 30 years, needed some overhauling. You could move in and do the work. But the open house I drove by, they had a line outdoor around the garage, probably a 30 to 40 minute wait to get in because they're allowing 2 parties in at a time due to COVID. For 16 offers, we bid up $100,000 over asking, and we lost it. We didn't bid. And I even told the agent, just tell me what it's going to take to get it. If this doesn't work, tell me what it's going to take to get it. So on the single family home, we're busy.
Real quick, Scott, I just want to kind of highlight that you bid on a property, $100,000 over the asking price, and you did not get it.
Yep. Didn't get it.
Okay.
And the other offer I wrote, different property, was full price competing with full. We did get it, but I'm having to pull all the tricks and all the relationships that I've had over the 20 years with people and the tricks of the trade and all the things that we do, having been in the business this long, to get offers accepted. It's a tough market for people on the single family home side.
And at the same time, the Waikiki market's still kind of having its challenges. I know that you've got a property that you're going to share with us later in our Diamonds and Deals kind of a section.